To all present over here in the classroom, and since last 2 days I had been taking the class 10 topic of sectors of the economy. Today the small part which is left, that is where are most of the people employed, because prior to this class we had studied about the categorization of the primary sector and what was the importance of the tertiary sector, why tertiary sector went on increasing and increasing, because it was the tertiary sector which provided services to all the other two sectors of the economy. It is the tertiary sector which provides aid, which provides assistance to all the other correlated, that is the primary and the secondary one. Now, moving on to the current topic of today, that is where are most of the people employed. If we look at the graph, we will find that during the period of 1972 and 73 period, there was a great shift that people in the maximum extent, they were employed in the primary sector. And then if we take a look at the book and the graph, we find that the very first one was the primary, then the second one secondary, and the third is a tertiary sector, where most of the people were employed. But if we look at the trend of increasing importance of the tertiary sector, what do we find? We find that there has been a shift from primary, means the production as well as the working of the people engaged in such sectors, the maximum is tertiary sector and then secondary and the primary. But still, whereas the number of people employed, there has been a shift. We are knowing that if we compare the 1972 data and the data of 2015, we find that there has been a shift from the primary to the tertiary, but still the number of working population, they are more in the primary sector. I would like to make it clear over here, there has been a shift in the percentage of the people working in the primary sector to the tertiary sector. At the initial period, that is, if we are talking about the period of 1972 and 73, maximum number of people, that is around 70% of the India's total population rested, they depended upon the agriculture. But as the increase in tertiary sector went on, it led to what? It led to the shift of the people from the primary to the tertiary sector. And percentage of the people who were employed more over there in the primary sector, they moved towards the secondary and the tertiary sector. Although whatever the percentage of people, they shifted from the primary to the secondary and tertiary sector, that percentage was less, but still that gave a jerk to the primary, to the secondary and the tertiary sector. And we find that still now also, most of the people, either they remain to be unemployed or they are dependent upon the agriculture. There has been a shift, but the dependency upon the agriculture, that has not become less. Much of the vast population of the country, still we find that still the primary sector continues to be the largest employed sector. The primary sector continues to be the largest employed sector. What is the reason behind this? That primary sector continues to be the largest employed sector. It is only because not enough jobs were created in the other two sectors. Since there were very less jobs created in the other two sectors, that is the primary, the secondary and the tertiary, so people anyway or the other had to remain within the same firm, within the same sector from where they had come. Had there been an increase in the secondary and the tertiary, so probability, the most probable chances would be that people would get jobs in secondary and tertiary. And since no many posts were there, no many vacancies were there, so people literally had to return back and get themselves engaged in the primary sector. Another thing, although the GDP of the country, from the secondary sector, comparison of the GDP from the secondary sector, that has grown up at least 3 times at now. The gross domestic product of the country from the tertiary sector, the share of the GDP from the tertiary sector, that has moved up to 9 times. If we are comparing it from 72 and to the present day, that is 2015 data, we find that there has been an increase in the GDP ratio also. Although there has been an increase in the GDP ratio of secondary sector and tertiary sector, then the question might be coming into our mind. It means that there is greater production. So greater production, literally it means that many people are engaged. No, the answer is not that. The reason is that there has been a rise in the technology. There has been a rise in various type of other benefits which are coming into the secondary and the tertiary sector. And because of that, various other technologies and various other talented students who have come up in the secondary and the tertiary sector, it has literally led to the boom. That is why 3 times in that of the GDP, and tertiary sector 9 times it has grown. But the plain answer is that we cannot say कि क्योंकि प्रोडक्शन इसका ज्यादा हो गया, जीडीपी रेशियो अगर ज्यादा हो गए हैं, तो इट मीन्स कि हमारा एम्प्लॉयमेंट का रेशियो ज्यादा बढ़ गया है सेकेंडरी और टर्सरी में. नो, दैट इज नॉट द आंसर. द आंसर इज क्लियर दैट there has been a better facility in the secondary sector, there has been a better implements, technologies and so on, resulting into the greater production, resulting into the growth of the GDP of the country. But the maximum number of the population of the country, they are still dependent upon the agriculture. So the question is, where are most of the people employed? Although because they are not getting the share to work in the secondary sector, they are absolutely now also dependent upon the agriculture. But still, what do we find is that primary sector continues to be the largest sharer. Primary sector continues to be the largest sharer of providing employment to maximum number of people. Why? Because the people have got the land, or if they do not have land also, if they are landless, if they are downtrodden people also, they go and work in the farm of other people, and anyhow or the other, they try to create a job for themselves, ki at least for a day or a two or for whatever period they are getting a work as a laborer there in the farmland, so they get themselves employed over there. Secondly, even if people are doing their work in the agricultural sector, the increase in the production, that does not affect. I would like to make it clear over here कि maximum number of people are still, because of less vacancy in the secondary and tertiary sector, maximum number of people are there in the agricultural sector. Since maximum number of people are there in the agricultural sector, so what do we find is that we find that although so many people are employed in the agricultural sector, but that is not going to affect the production. If more people are working in the field, it does not give us the scene, it does not provide us with the data that more people are there, so the production will become higher. No, it doesn't mean that. It's a simple type of an example that if we go on putting more water in the plant, so it is going to give us a better harvest. No, that is not the thing. The thing is that what is the actual thing which is being required, that is to be provided. So in India, the problem of employment is that there is no so much vacancy in the secondary sector, so that is why the people are staying still idle and they devote their time, they give their time in the agricultural side for no use. Their potentiality is not counted. Their share of effort, their efforts are not taken into consideration. Whatever the production is going to come, that depends upon your nature of harvesting, your nature of irrigation, and that nature of irrigation, your harvesting and using of various better types of seeds and HYV seeds, fertilizers, manures and so on, that will give you the yield, that will give you the harvest. It is not the number of people who are engaged there working in the farmland that is going to lift up the production. That is absolutely not going to affect the production level. So the better way to create the production, the better way to create the jobs is to what to do? The problem is that, take the case of an example of one of the landless laborer. She is only having Lakshmi, for example, let me give you an example of Lakshmi. She is having a small portion of a land, only 2 hectares of a land, and in that 2 hectares of land, she does not have all type of facilities. Only during the time of a monsoon, she is dependent upon the monsoon, and during the period of monsoon, she grows the crop in her field. And for the remaining season, the land remains barren. जमीन खाली पड़ा हुआ रह जाता है, because she is not having the irrigating facility. She is not having the facilities of providing water to the plants. Either because there is no dam, there are no wells, there are no tanks or reservoirs or ponds. Well, you can say she only have to remain upon the mercy of the nature of God, that is the God. So she can yield only one crop in 1 year. Had there been better production, had there been better other facilities also, then probably she could reap 2 crops in one simultaneous year. In one complete year, she could reap 2 crops over there. For that, what she would have to do? The government, she herself would provide herself with the tube wells, better wells. And if government comes up with the policy of construction of dams, then what she would do? She would grow 2 crops in one season, Kharif as well as Rabi, and if possible, she could also grow the Z crops. What are those Z crops? Z crops are the vegetables, the watermelons and the muskmelons. So, in this 12 months of a time, if she could be having better water facilities like that of the reservoir or the wells or the dams or the canals, so some more people beside the family member of Lakshmi, she could employ some more people, at least 2 to 3 people during the period of growing the crop. She could employ some other people, and that would generate the employment in the primary sector at least. So, by the example of Lakshmi, if many people are there like that of Lakshmi, who has got only a small portion of a land, and if there are better irrigation facilities, then if so many people get such advantages of irrigation facilities like watering the plants, then so many people will get their employment. So, there won't be any problem of unemployment in that case. So, we can well understand that if the government comes up with the better facilities of water, better facilities of banking system, better facilities of providing the monetary benefits to the farmers, then in that circumstance, these farmers who are very much landless, who do not have to bother from going here and there for asking money from the money lenders, then she can avail the money from the bank. She can get the benefits of the government schemes. So, by that she can employ many more persons in that farmland to work as a laborer, and the production will go on increasing. So, over here we will take a break. Now, the case of underemployment, that is the most vital problem which India is also facing, the problem of underemployment. What is this underemployment? Underemployment is a type of a situation where more people are engaged in one small piece of a work. It means that a small work is there and so many people are ready to accept that work. And if so many people are ready to accept that work, that particular situation turns to be the situation of underemployment. Same is the case in the primary sector also. We find that number of jobs in the primary and secondary are low, so the people, they return back to the rural areas and to the villages and settle down there. In agricultural season, what is that? It is only few people who are needed to carry out their activity, and since only few people are needed to carry out their activities, and what is that activity? The activity of production, the activity of carrying out the cultivation of the land. So, since so many people are there and the need is only of 2 and 3, so the maximum number of people who are still working in that field, that is of no use, using their potentiality for no cause. So such type of situation, that activity will be referred to as a disguised unemployment. Now, if the question arises, what is disguised employment? Disguised employment is such a type of an employment where number of workers are more as what is really required. Number of persons are more as what is really required according to their own potentiality. So the rest amount of laborers who are of useless nature, doing nothing, and it is of no use for them, such type of an employment will be referred to be as a disguised unemployment. Now, slowly and slowly, what do we find is that how to create jobs? That is the basic thing. So, to create the better jobs, the government should come up with various strategies. The government should come up with better plans and mechanism to make the people employed, to create various type of employment. The very first thing is that which the country is facing that evil, and that evil is what? That evil is the population problem. Population is also one of the things which hampers the GDP growth, which hampers the development of the country. If we control the population, what we will find is that the number of people will get the better opportunities in availing the work, either in primary, secondary or the tertiary sector. But since we are not having a command over the population, so what do we find is that jobs becomes less, and the number of people standing to get the job, that becomes more. So this is the main thing. Secondly, to eradicate this type of a problem of employment, what should we do? Take for example like that of the Lakshmi, जो थोड़ी देर पहले मैंने बताया कि if the government comes up with a plan of providing various type of services like constructing of the dams, so if she can engage 2 workers, then many more owners like Lakshmi can also employ many persons. Secondly, take the case of an example of a Sukhram who happens to be the landlord, and this particular Sukhram, he has got big portion of a land, and if he is having a big portion of a land, what he can do is that since he is not going to work in the field, so he will ask those type of persons who do not have any single piece of a land of their own, and those persons will remain engaged in the production activity of this particular landlord, that is Sukhram. And since they will come and do their work over there in their land, so the land will get harvested and the production will go on rising. And such type of persons who were not having a single job, who were not having anything to do, so they get themselves employed during that time. Thirdly, the government should come up with the mechanism. The government should come up with the strategy of helping the poor farmers by providing them the financial aid. At the present situation, what do we find is that in the bank, the reasons of getting the loans, that has become very much hectic in a sense, that is asking of so many type of documents, and in providing the documents, these illiterate farmers, they find it very difficult for themselves to provide them with the documents. So because of not clearing it and not providing with various documents, they go and knock the door of the money lenders. They knock the door of the shahukars. They knock the doors of the banyas. And what they do? If they provide them with the financial help, if they provide them the finance to these farmers, they charge greater interest as compared to that of the bank. And since they charge greater interest from the bank, so these small little farmers, they go on encircled with the debt trap, मीन्स उनके रकम इतने ज़्यादा बढ़ते चले जाते हैं, ब्याज दर बढ़ते चला जाता है, that the condition for these farmers are that they literally are not in a condition to repay back the loan. So what the government should do? Government should come up with easy hand to provide capital, to provide finance to these farmers. And if these farmers are getting the benefit of the finance from the bank, so literally they will be able to irrigate their land. They will also make other people also to irrigate their land and make other peoples to work in their farmland also. By that, what they can do? The maximum production, where Lakshmi was only able to cultivate only one crop in 1 year, so because of better facilities, she can cultivate 2 crops in 1 year. So the production level will become higher, and if the production level will become higher, so she will have the surplus amount of a crop, and if she is having the surplus amount of a crop, she will try to sell those surplus amount of a crop by going in the city area or the town area, and she can supply those food products to that, and she can get ample money in her hand. So if the government comes up with better capital processes, if the government comes up with better banking facility, so that can also erase out the unemployment process. Secondly, we are also saying that employment can also be, how it can be finished up. It can also be finished up that if many of the laborers in the village area, they are staying without any work, so if they are getting the help from the bank, so they can make small shops, they can come with various readies and so on, and start selling their fruits, start selling the food grains, start selling any type of a product, either on the roadside or anywhere. So better will be the banking facility. The farmers will try to sell their seed, they will start trading with the urban areas also. So that will bring about the growth in the transportation, that will bring about the growth in the connecting the roads to the village area. So when there will be the connection with the city and the village area, when there will be a better transportation facility, many other type of industries may also open up at various places. Take for example, see, if there is better production, a small type of mills can also be opened up in the village. Dal mill khul sakta hai, aata chakki ki dukanein khul sakti hain. So many people will get themselves employed in those type of a sector. So in a nutshell, we can well say that the two sectors, that is the secondary and tertiary sector, there has been a great jerk, there had been a great lift in the secondary and tertiary sector, but still, although those two sectors are of great rising importance, but still we find that maximum number of people are still employed in the agricultural sector. And since maximum number of people are still employed in the agricultural sector, so what do we find is that there happens to be the condition of underemployment that literally leads to disguised unemployment. Now the question when then again arises, how to clear up those type of things to remove this employment, various other things which I had just spoken in front of you, that has to be taken into consideration. So my dear students, the last portion I had discussed it today. And right from the beginning till today's class, I had taught you what are the sectors of the economy, what were those three sectors, what type of activities are carried out in those three type of sectors of the economy, which sector contributes to what is the GDP, and which sector contributes at what ratio the GDP, and then what is the rising importance of the tertiary sector in India, how it has led to the importance in those sectors, and then finally where are some of the jobs still created and where are some of the jobs still not created, and how to increase the employment process in India. So we had literally finished it up, and I hope this class of mine will be of better understanding to you all. Then we will move on with another topic tomorrow or whatever the day it may be. So thanks a lot and have a nice day.